market slowdown, raising concerns about the health of the U.S. economy. President Trump was asked about the disappointing numbers late today. The president downplaying the numbers and promising, quote, "We're going to have tremendous job growth." The U.S. added just 22,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate rose to 4.3% in August, a nearly four-year high. Mary Bruce at the White House tonight.
Tonight, a dramatic slowdown in the American job market. Employers adding just 22,000 jobs in August, less than a third of what economists expected. Unemployment rising to 4.3%, nearly a four-year high. And revised numbers for June showing employment actually fell by 13,000 jobs, the first loss in almost 5 years.
The labor market is starting to show a real chill. Not only are workers who have a job frozen in place, unable to hop to a higher paying job elsewhere, but those who want a job are frozen out.
31-year-old Kyle Clark has worked for years as a technical editor, but he's been unable to find a job since April.
At the end of the day, despite how good or bad the economy is, I still need a job. I still need to pay rent. I still need to pay my bills. I like to eat. I like to, be able to afford groceries.
The president has acknowledged he won the election in large part because he promised to grow the economy and lower prices. Today, he downplayed the latest numbers.
We're going to have tremendous job growth.
He insists the economy is booming and is adamant his tariffs will spark a renaissance in American manufacturing. But the data shows the opposite. 4 straight months of manufacturing job losses.
Wait till these factories start to open up that are being built all over the country. You're going to see things happen in this country that nobody expects.
We've lost 78,000 manufacturing jobs since the start of the year. That's the exact opposite of what the administration was hoping for. But some of those job losses are in fact due to the higher input costs that we're seeing.
While the Federal Reserve has resisted Trump's pressure to lower interest rates, this week's jobs report making it all but certain they will cut rates to try and encourage hiring when the Fed meets in 2 weeks.
So let's bring in Mary Bruce live at the White House tonight because, Mary, while the president was taking questions on the economy, the president also signing an executive order late today to rename the Defense Department the Department of War.
And David, tonight they're already replacing and changing the signs over at the Pentagon. It's been the Department of Defense since 1949, but today the president rebranding it the Department of War, saying it sends a message of victory and strength. Now, a formal name change would likely require congressional approval, but today the president glossing over that, saying, quote, "We're going with it. We're going with it very strongly."
Well, the Lord said that he would give you over to a cruel Lord, a fierce king, and here we are. Remember, you had niggas for Trump, Latinos for Trump. This is what happens, man. Yeah, before I begin, I want to give all honor, all praise, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rechak, Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well, and peace, blessings, and salutations unto the tabernacle of David, the hopeful elect, that are scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. You people starting to feel it. You feeling those birth pains, in which the Lord said that he's not going to give you no remedy. Pursuant to Jeremiah 51, pertaining to Babylon falling. He basically said, and he was being facetious when he said it, but he said to howl for her and take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. So you from these other countries, you might want to go back to your country because the judgment has reached unto heaven. So these conditions are not going to get any better. All right, it's going to get worse. And you niggas, you put your trust in this damn system, and this is what you get. Proverbs, was it 25? Let me see. I want to get a quick script. Yep. Proverbs 25:19, and it says, confidence in an unfaithful man in a time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. All right. And, hey, this is what it's like when you put your confidence in an unfaithful man. God, this man is not here to make sure that you are in basically in their best interests. All right. He's here to lay down the groundwork to set up this new digital global infrastructure for the elite, or the digital Tower of Babel. All right, that's what he's in there for. So you people, you're gonna suffer. All right, and now you got the unemployment rate. They now starting to tell half truth about the unemployment rate. One of the things that they still don't talk about is a lot of the people that were part of the workforce who basically stopped trying to look for work because, they've been out of work for, months to a year, or even years trying to look for work, and, they're overqualified, or they don't meet certain qualifications. Their degree don't really mean anything. So you got a lot of people who are just completely through with trying to look for a job, and what they call them is discouraged workers. I always bring this up when it comes to this topic, but let me do this. So I get discouraged. I don't know why I say undiscouraged. I mean, discouraged workers. And it says discouraged workers are individuals who want to work but have stopped searching for a job because they believe no suitable jobs are available, or their qualifications don't match the market's needs. They are not counted in the unofficial unemployment rate, which uses a narrower definition, but are considered marginally attached to the labor force. Factors leading to discouragement include perceiving lack of jobs, insufficient skills, age, or other discrimination, and past rejections. So they don't never include that with the unemployment rate. All right. And, so America can, the government can act pretentious, about their society, even though they don't really want to admit that, this place is spiraling, man. There's a lot of people that are not happy. There's a lot of people that are idle. All right. And the more you're idle and you're not being put to use, what are you going to do? How are you going to make a living? How are you going to make ends meet? So a lot of people are falling into depression. They're getting on drugs just to try to escape reality. And then you got, of course, Jake. If they're not getting on drugs, they just going out there and robbing and stealing. So that increases the crime rate, where it's not safe, because you got a lot of people that are without, that are destitute, that are starving, and they just going out there and taking it. All right. So these are the conditions of Babylon. All right. US of A. All right. Under this administration. And even in hey, you can account it to the Biden administration too. Okay. Them cutting out all these people that had their so-called dream jobs. A lot of people that worked in the tech industry. After COVID, you had the hospitality industry that also got affected. It was cutting out a lot of these workers in these hotels. People that worked in these travel agencies. People wasn't traveling much. So it was cutting a lot of people out of work. All right. They was reducing their personnel. So people were getting cut, laid off. They had to reduce hours and reduce pay. All right. And then, of course, while this is going on, you still got inflation, because this devil wants to, he wants to continue to add more zeros to the system. All right, because the more money goes into circulation, the less value that your monetary system has or your currency has. So these wages that people are living off of now, if your hours are being reduced, then you're not making as much money as you did. So therefore, these expenses and your utilities continue to add up while you're not making as much money to cover these bills. So we're definitely coming to those times of trouble. All right. Let me get Mark 8 real quick. So like it. I think it's Mark 13. Yeah, this is Mark 13. And I'll start at 7. It says, and when you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right now you got the conflict starting up with Venezuela. Trump, they're claiming that it's to crack down on the cartels, stop the drugs from getting in. But we all know that that's bullshit. They really want to take control of, the drug trade down there. And they also, they've been eyeing the resources down there. The gold reserves, the oil, which we know, South America has the largest oil reserves in the West, basically damn near in the world. So we know that the real reason why they want to go down there. So, they fought on that little vessel in the water. It wasn't shit. But China has investment in Venezuela. So, you try to go to war with Venezuela right now, you might as well start war with China. So you got that, and then you, of course, the Ukrainian-Russian conflict ain't dying down anytime soon. So you got all these different wars in America, whether they directly or indirectly involved, and that costs money. Your taxpaying money is funding all these different conflicts. Him wanting to set up an Iron Dome, that's going to cost money. All these projects, AI Stargate, it's this task force, AI task force, that's all going to cost money. So, yeah, he that's why they want to all of a sudden change the Pentagon from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Because basically we're in that time where they're preparing for war. And he want to flex his might on niggas in Chicago, when you need to be worrying about, all right, how BRICS is positioning themselves. Russia, China, North Korea, how they just had that military parade flexing in your face, getting themselves ready. You want to show niggas in Chicago that you about that war, you about that life. Yeah, come on, man. We know you live by that sword. Continuing on, it says, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's a ethnicity versus an ethnicity. So you know what that's going into. And kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places. You constantly having these big ones now, causing thousands of people to die. All right, every single day there is seismic activity all over the world, and it's triggering volcanic eruptions. More extreme weather. It says, and there shall be famines and troubles. All right, because a lot of the food supplies are being affected by all this weather. Over in the Middle East, I believe I'm trying to see. It was pretty much. They've been getting cut off from their trade routes. You know, and now that Turkey is cutting off all. They're pretty much cutting out Israel as far as trade. You know, basically they're not dealing with Israel anymore, and that's a major trade route. You know, Turkey. You know, they do business with Iran, and and you know they're a major trade route to get things into Europe. So if they shutting down ties with Israel, that's going to affect them people in that area. And then you already know the Houthis. You know, they've been cutting the trade route in the Red Sea. So yeah, the Lord is he's bringing it to this world. Which when you go to the Apocrypha Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, he said, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." All right, he's gonna bring in, you know, famine, death, and destruction. And so we're at the beginning of that right now. Thus, these are the beginnings of sorrows. Okay. So it's about to be a lot of idleness, a lot of people out of work here. All right, which is going to increase the crime rate. You know, these YNs are going to get more wild. A lot of these women are going to, you know, hop on the blade. You know, because they ain't going to have, you know, you already see what's happening with these women. They're already crying about, you know, it being too hard for them to be on their own. They're tired of taking care of everything, being single mothers, all right, by themselves. So they, you know, crashing out. You know, they having meltdowns on TikTok. And then you got the so-called N-Dub with her proud ass. She's not doing too well. You know, they still putting off that facade. You know, like everything is all good, but her pride was in the fact that she's a part of the workforce, so she can, you know, earn her own bread. She's a breadwinner. She can do it by herself. Well, let's look at these reports coming out about a lot of these black women.
Now, time for us to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. The job market may look steady overall, but for many Black Americans, it's a different story. Unemployment among Black Americans is rising at the fastest pace in years. Let's connect the dots. The national unemployment rate for Black Americans is now 7.2%. That's the highest level since 2021. For comparison, the overall U.S. unemployment rate is just 4.2%. What's surprising is that education isn't protecting workers. Even Black college graduates are struggling. Their unemployment.
And they never tell you that if you're going to get these degrees that are not really that essential to the workforce, you're not going to get no work. Now, you getting a degree in freaking, you know, communications or psychology. You're not gonna get, you know, work like that. They keep going after the degrees that don't, you know, really mean anything in the labor force. You know, and a lot of these women, they tend to not go after the jobs that most of them don't want to work. You know, they'll go for the, you know, some of them will go for, you know, office jobs. But a lot of them, you know, they got to go and bartend, you know, be waitresses at a restaurant, you know, but, you know, and some of them, they're going to nursing. But for the most part, they're not going after the degrees, like engineering degrees, you know, science, technology. They don't really they don't want to go into those fields like that, even though they have the option to do so. But they will fight to have equal pay with men who work them kind of jobs. Nah. And then since Trump got in, you know, he cut off a lot of people that was working in those federal jobs. A lot of people in tech in tech world, a lot of them getting cut off because you got AI that's replacing them in the workforce. So yeah, and if you do have a job, you might be stuck there at that job. You want to get something else. You know, you putting your resumes out there, you putting in more applications, you trying to go somewhere that's paying a little more, but it seemed like it's hard. You know, you're gonna be in competition with thousands of people. So if you don't personally know these employers, you might not you might be stuck, man. You frozen in your position. So if you had a job and you working, you know, whatever job you working at, and you working, you know, for a particular wage, you're stuck with that wage. It's not gonna go any higher, and you know, you might try to ask them for a raise, and they want you to do more. So this is where we at with it right now, man. So Jake, they're gonna be idle, and we know what the scriptures say about idleness. So more niggas up to no good in the hood, because they ain't got nothing to do.
Rate has nearly doubled in just a few months. Economists say the slowdown is hitting jobs that are more vulnerable, like entry-level positions or federal jobs. Those are roles where many black workers have historically found stability. And the numbers have a human cost. Families are falling behind on rent. Even people with advanced degrees say they can't find steady work. Experts warn this could erase years of progress in closing the racial employment gap. And with diversity programs being cut back, recovery could take even longer. And that.
Hey. So we're coming into that time, man. And there shall be famines and troubles. You know, financial hardship, you know, that's a form of trouble. All right. And the Lord is you know, he's operating on this place, and he's bringing down the jollity, the mirth, or the pride. It said in Second Ezra, many great miseries shall be done, you know, to those that walked in great pride. Second Ezra 8 and 50 says, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. You know, so you're gonna be trapped in these miseries. All right, and you know, if you're not turning to Yahweh Shem Yahushai in these last days, man, you're gonna be in a world of trouble, man. And you're not gonna be comforted. You're not gonna be stable. And we know the scriptures tell us that knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of our times. You know, this is what's gonna keep us stable, knowing that the Lord is bringing this place down because he's getting ready to destroy it. And when he comes back to destroy it, he's going to, you know, deliver his people, starting with his remnant, the elect, and they're going to establish the kingdom of heaven. So we want to see this place fall. Even though it's coming with that pressure, it's coming with adversity, but it's better to see this place fall than to continue. So this is how this place is going down. Systematically, all right, socially, economically, morally, it's all spiraling down. And better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. All right, and let me get the main scripture of the lesson. It's Isaiah 19. And I'll start at verse 12. And it says, where are they? Where are thy wise men? And let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts have purposed upon Egypt. And this is we in modern Egypt. All right. This is the place which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. All right. It says the princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Noph are deceived. They have also seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst of Slakia. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. I mean, the spirit of confusion. All right, where, you know, Esau, you know, the president, you know, he has all these advisors, and some of these advisors, they're telling him not to go the route that he's going, but he's ignoring them, and he's still following after, you know, his overlords. You know, his elite, all right, overlords that give him his pecking orders. Because if he goes off script, you know, they'll JFK his ass. Okay. Your job is to, you know, transition into this global digital database system, you know, this whole infrastructure, and also to make Israel greater. So you're gonna have to assist them with the genocide that they're committing over there. And if he, in any kind of way, stem away from that and start doing his own thing, they'll make an example out of him. Okay. So there's a perverse spirit there, all right? Because everything that he's doing is really backfiring on Babylon, is affecting Babylon tremendously in a negative way. And if people are not happy, it is going to lead to instability, chaos, which they already know, which is why they're positioning those troops in these different major cities. Because they know Jake is going to feel it the hardest. And then you got the Edomites that are really side by side. You got Edomites that are suffering just as bad as Jake is. They're not happy. You know? Esau ready to burn it down. He's ready to go. And hey, that's going to trigger a civil war. And that's when you jump up to the second verse, it says that. And he's going to, you know, cause Egyptian to come against Egyptian. All right, Isaiah 9:19-2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. All right. And these people are divided, they're split, you know, politically. And, you know, they don't like the direction that the country is heading in. You know, they starting to find out that, you know, Trump is not who they thought he was. Even MAGA, they're disappointed with Trump. No, all y'all got used. All right. You were all fooled. You get fooled every time, especially niggas, Jake. Because like it says in Isaiah 30, because you trust in oppression, you know, and perverseness and stay thereon, hey, this iniquity shall be unto you as a breach, ready to fall in an instant. All right, you so-called black women, you were proud because you were breadwinners. You try to make yourself equal with the man. Here you are. Here you go. Over 300,000 black women lost jobs. So a great humbling is coming, and it's already begun. And you women gonna start getting, you know, desperate. You're gonna be thinking about how you can change your approach to men. Try to get in good graces with men because you know you can't do it out there on your own. Continuing on, it says, the Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. All right. So that means that you're going to be out of work, right? AI is pretty much doing the job now. And and your skill levels better be adjacent to, AI, or you're going to be considered useless. All right. You can't fulfill the task. You can't, work up to standard at any job right now. They're gonna cut you loose. Then you're going to get your last direct deposit, and then you got to fend for yourself, out in that world after they let you go. So it's finna get real, man. All right, let me get Haggai 1. I think it's like around 11 verse. And it says, and this dealing with Jake. It says Haggai 1 verse 10, it says, therefore the heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. And I call for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground bringeth forth. It is all indicative of a famine. And upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the hands. A drought upon the labor of your hands, that means no work. So, hey, like it says in Sirach, the 11th chapter, there's a forgetfulness of prosperity in a day of affliction. And the Lord wants you to be afflicted so that you can remember him. Like it says in Hosea 5:15, I will go and return and hide my face until they acknowledge their offense. In their affliction, they shall seek me early. Because when you, in a day of affliction, there's a forgetfulness of prosperity. In a day of prosperity, there's a forgetfulness of affliction. When Jacob's doing good and prospering, they're like, man, we might as well just be wicked, because we still getting our blessings. Like I said in 2 Esdras 9, you receive benefits and have not known the Lord. And you're doing good, you're working, you're making money, being wicked. Now the Lord's cutting that loose, and now you're not able to prosper. Now you got to suffer. Now you got to deal with, adversity, hardship. Now you got the idle time to seek the Lord. So what you gonna do now? Because the Lord, his servants, they're gonna be all right. They're gonna eat. They're gonna drink. They're not gonna be destitute in these times that we're coming into. They're gonna laugh at famine. So, yeah, man. So, I didn't even bring this out, about how out here in Vegas, the hospitality is significantly, affected by the decline in tourism. The rising of prices is ridiculous out here. So you come to Vegas, Vegas is not Vegas anymore. All right. It says Las Vegas hospitality is significantly affected by a decline in tourism, with lower visitor numbers, less convention attendance, and reduced hotel occupancy compared to previous post-pandemic boom. This slump is attributed to macroeconomic factors like high inflation, economic uncertainty. All right. You can read Revelation, the 6th chapter. One day of work will only get you a loaf of bread. And that 1 penny, that denarius. Yeah. That prophecy is going into hyperinflation. It says economic uncertainty and price-sensitive consumers favoring shorter, more event-driven trips. Hotels are responding with aggressive discounting, while many service workers face reduced hours and tips, leading to stress and uncertainty about the future of their livelihoods and the industry's stability. So even those that are working in this field, they may not have lost their job, but they have to work shorter hours, which is less money, less pay. and you can't even pay your bills. So right now, it only it only pays to have to live with people that all work. You got to basically be under a roof with multiple people that all have some kind of employment, or you can basically risk being homeless or living in your vehicle, your car. There's a lot of people living in their cars out here right now, especially women. So, yeah, man, this is only the beginning, as the prophecy said. You know, these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so, you know, what are you to do now? Seek the Lord while he may be found. That's what you do. I'm talking to the tribes. The Lord's getting ready to shut up the doors of mercy. You ain't got a lot of time left. So that's pretty much, you know, the lesson. You know, I just want to go into that, and hopefully y'all are edified. Let me give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashmi Awashai. To the next lesson. Shalom.